Well, good morning, NSC. How are you doing this morning? On Sunday, we were thinking about or asking the question, why are we here? Why are we left on the earth in 2021 as Christians? And I made the point that most of the things that we do here we'll be able to do better in heaven, enjoy better in heaven. But I made the point that there's one thing categorically that none of us as Christians will be able to do in heaven, and that is we will not have the privilege, the joy, the blessing of being able to explain, to proclaim the gospel to people who are lost and perishing without Christ. That will not happen in heaven. There'll be no opportunity for that. Problem with a sermon like that, and I was aware of this on Sunday, is that we can feel kind of guilted by the preacher into thinking, I have to tell other people about Christ. I have to go and proclaim the gospel, and it's not something I really want to do, but I'm going to have to do it. And as I said on Sunday, it can be hard. Like, sharing the gospel is not an easy thing to do, but we shouldn't just feel like a sense of duty for sharing the gospel. And that's what I want to talk a little bit about this morning. Paul, in his first letter to the church at Corinth in chapter 9, talks about how he is sold out, absolutely given his life over to proclaiming the gospel, to try and persuade people to come to know Christ. This is what he says: to the weak, in verse 22 of chapter 9, to the weak I have become weak to win the weak. I have become all things to all people, so that by all possible means I might save some. Paul was totally committed to reaching the lost with the great news of the gospel. But in verse 23, we get the reason for why he does that. Is it just because it's a sense of duty? Is it because he just feels he has to do it? No, verse 23 says, I do all this for the sake of the gospel, that I may share in its blessings. That kind of made me think about the story that we were hearing about, the tragic story of the loss of the two Gerson sisters, Sophie and Acacia, that we've been hearing about over the last couple of the weeks. And one of the folks who's very close to the family, Joseph Duick, who posted about how the family will be encouraged even in their deep grief through Isaiah 41. But Joseph asked, or he explained a couple of things about the Gerson girls. He started by asking a question, but listen to what Joseph says. I would ask you, if you were to die, are you ready? Incredibly, one of the most important questions we can maybe even ask anyone, including ourselves. Are we ready if my life was to end today? Then he goes on to say, Acacia and Sophie served God at Rosa River Bible Camp multiple summers, and it was their great joy to tell others about the love of Christ that they know. Now, that's challenging in a couple of ways. First of all, they knew, and they certainly know now even better, the love of Christ. It was a living reality to them every day. That's what prompted them to serve. That's what prompted them to tell other people. NSC, do you know the love of Christ? Are you gripped by the love of Christ? Is it a living reality for you? Is it a living reality daily for me? Don't settle for anything less than knowing and experiencing the love of Christ. Secondly, it was their great joy to tell others about the love of Christ that they had come to know. You know, it's not hard to share something with other people that we're passionate about. If you're a sports person, if you catch big fish, whatever you like doing, beautiful music or art, we love to share things that we're passionate about with other people. It's hard not to share what you're passionate about with other people. NSC, like Sophie and Acacia, is it your great joy to share the wonderful news, the great news of the gospel of Jesus Christ with other people? And along those lines, as we start to look at getting things going for the fall, and we think about a Christianity Explored course, I'd ask you, who could you perhaps invite to come along to a Christianity Explored course this year. Please let me know if there's someone you'd like to maybe bring. Well, I also closed on Sunday with some words from our own Teresa Gorlick about an interview she'd been listening to with folks in Afghanistan, a pastor in Afghanistan. We're going to include that link within this email so you have a chance to listen to that email. I've not listened to it myself yet. That's on my list for today, but I would encourage you to listen to that. We're also going to post a link to a YouTube, the YouTube song that we were singing to conclude with on Sunday morning, Facing a Task Unfinished, which is really a prayer that God would wake us up from our slumber so that we're alive to share the great news, joyfully share the great news of the gospel with other people. Why not use those words as your prayer today, NSC, that God would work in you and within our church and within the church in Canada and globally as well. Have a great day, NSC.